Towards the bottom of the universe is a giant fish or whale. Sometimes that fish or whale gets agitated, and this is what causes earthquakes. On the back of the giant sea creature are 7 Earths, all of which are flat. They're stacked up like pita breads, except that there's a 500-year journey in between each one of them. We live on the top Earth, which again is flat. The sun and the moon chase each other around the Earth.
Assalamu alaikum and hello to my non-Muslim viewers. David Wood, same David Wood who tried to kill his father with a hammer and was put into a mental hospital by his mother, has been making, this series called Muhammad's Boom Boom Room, where, he has some kid playing the Prophet Muhammad supposedly, and then, he brings up Hadith and Quran verses trying to make fun of the Hadith and Quran and things like that, because either David Wood's too lazy to star in his own YouTube channel, or he's too busy. I mean, given what I know about him, he's probably too lazy to star, so he hires these kids, these Christian kids, to, act in his stupid videos. But anyways, I'm going to be refuting, no, Muhammad's Boom Boom Room is like one of the worst ideas David Wood has ever come up with, and he's come up with pretty stupid ideas like crashing ISNA, crashing the Arab Fest when the Arab Festival was going on in the late 2000s and the early 2010s. So he has these stupid ideas, but this is probably one of the stupidest. But anyways, I'm going to be refuting what is said in that video, because he's saying that the Quran and the Hadith have scientific errors in it, and I'm here to say that the Quran and the Hadith don't have any kind of scientific errors. So let's go with the first source he claims. It's Al-Tabari, Volume 1, pages 218 and 220. Now, Al-Tabari is not authentic. It's not an authentic source. If you go to the history of Al-Tabari, Volume 1, pages 170 to 171, Al-Tabari warns people that his books are filled with weak and inauthentic narrations. So Al-Tabari is definitely not an authentic source, according to Muslim scholars. And again, if you read the beginning of Al-Tabari's book, Al-Tabari Volume 1, Al-Tabari warns people that his books are filled with weak and inauthentic narrations, and this narration is not authentic. I looked into it. Al-Tabari Volume 1, pages 218, 220. It's not authentic. The next verse he cites is the Quran, chapter 65, verse 12, where he says, where the verse talks about 7 Earths, or an Earth like ours and stuff like that. 7 Earths may be true. There are other planets and galaxies in the universe. It's possible there's an Earth like ours, and it's possible there's life on those planets. This can't be disproven. So if the Quran's talking about, other planets, 7 planets like ours and stuff, it's very possible. It's possible that there's intelligent life. How do humans know that we're the only ones on Earth and there's no other Earth, in the galaxies or in the universe? The universe, how do we know that? We don't know that. We don't know that for sure. So, the Quran verse can't be disproven. It's also possible we live in a multiverse. There's like another version of me, and there's another version of you. There's like a white version of me and like a black version of you or something. I don't know. Who knows what goes on outside of our universe, right? So I'd like to, one day have confirmation of the multiverse or life on other planets. That would be pretty awesome. But this can't be disproven, so the Quran's not an error here. Then he cites Al-Tabari Volume 1, pages 207 and 208. Again, I looked at those sources. They're weak. They're not authentic according to according to Muslim scholars. So there's weak narrators in the isnad, or the chain of transmission, that makes the whole narration weak. He mentions Al-Tabari, he mentions Hadith. He mentions the Tirmidhi Hadith number 3298. However, I looked into this hadith, and I found out that hadith is weak according to Tirmidhi himself. According to Tirmidhi, volume 6, pages 23 to 25, that hadith is da'if. Da'if means weak, so it's not authentic, according to Tirmidhi, volume 6, pages 23 to 25. So it's not all authentic hadith. It's a weak hadith. So the Prophet Muhammad didn't say anything scientifically erroneous. Then he mentions Quran chapter 36, verse 38 to 40. However, this verse was incorrectly interpreted, as this verse is saying that the sun and the moon have orbits, and that's true. Just look it up. Just do a Google search, and then, I don't know, like 2 seconds later, you'll find that the sun and the moon do have orbits, right? They don't stand still. They do orbit. So this is basic science. The Quranic verse doesn't say that the sun and the moon orbit around the earth. That's David Wood's own interpretation of the verse, or Vocab Malone, whoever wrote that, whoever wrote that stupid script, they're putting their own interpretation into the Quran. That's not how it works. The Quran chapter 36, verse 38 through 40 says that the sun and the moon have orbits, and that's true. The Quran does not say that the sun and the moon revolve around the earth or orbit around the earth. So he's putting words into the Quran which aren't really there. So he's making up stuff, and he's making up his own subjective reasoning. He's putting into the Quran. That doesn't work. If you read the Quran chapter 36, verse 38 to 40, even if you read it in English, it says the sun and the moon orbit, and that's true. They run their course. That's true. And the Arabic clearly implies that the sun and the moon have their own independent orbit, not orbit around the earth. That's an incorrect statement that he's saying, or he's misinterpreting, or he's putting his own subjective reading into the text, which he shouldn't do if he's being honest. But David Wood being honest is just, it's not possible, right? So anyways, so in conclusion, David Wood and Vocab Malone have failed to show any scientific errors in Islam. Everything that was cited in that video was either from a weak source or was a misinterpreted verse from the Quran. So in conclusion, there are no scientific errors in the Quran or the Hadith. The Al-Tabari sources, those are weak. Those aren't authoritative. Those aren't authoritative according to Islamic scholars, according to Muslim scholars. Thanks for watching, and more videos are coming soon. Salam.